What age were you when y'all moved over here?
Up here, I was right at 18, 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right into Tarleton.
Right in Tarleton. Mm-hmm.
And can you talk about some of the early memories that you have of being a young adult or an adult in Tarleton?
And adult at Tarleton, I just remember the fellowship, and the people were oh so helpful when I got here, which I don't meet a stranger. I never do meet a stranger, and so I'm pretty easy to warm up to people, but so inviting and so helpful when we came in. And some of the professors that we had here, once we got through the basics and went on with the basics, it was just so helpful on getting us out there and getting us experience with kids and getting us out and to do educational experiences all over in the schools through here. I felt like I got a really good basic degree as far as be it the Bachelor's of Education degree. And I started teaching just as soon as I graduated from here, and I started teaching kindergarten my first year, and then kind of moved up throughout the levels. And during that time, I realized that I may have had a better gift than education, which that was with counseling and with working with kids one-on-one, because I just noticed that that was what my personality kind of led toward. And so went in and got my master's in education and guidance and counseling, and then moved out of the classroom and went into administration for the last, I've been in education 41 years this year. And so the last 30 have been in an administrative position.
You mentioned that your dad was in the Air Force. What did your mom do?
My mom was in banking, and so she was a banker. She was one of the first women bankers that became a vice president of a bank in Abilene, and she was the president of the National Association of Banking Women in Abilene. So we had roots in Abilene, but I looked at, in looking at different colleges where to come to. My dad was just always, we've got to go to Tarleton. That's where you belong, is in Tarleton. So he drove me out here.
And your grandparents, were they?
Grandparents, I really didn't have much. My dad was 48 when I was born, and I was the last of 6 kiddos. And so I didn't really get to I didn't get to see my grandparents ever alive, because they were already gone by the time that I was born. I hear stories of them all the time, but yeah, I didn't get the opportunity to get to be with them.
When you moved from Abilene and then to Stephenville, or in Erath County, you mentioned you've never known a stranger.
Yeah.
You've mentioned everybody was welcoming. Can you talk about what the community here was like when you moved here?
Different from Abilene, because Abilene was so much bigger. And at the time in 1983, 82, 83, when I got here, it was a small town at that point in time. And so I noticed we had more grocery stores at that point in time than we do now. There was a grocery store around every corner when I very first got here. There was a Kmart here where the HEB was. There was a Kmart here. So there was more different types of stores within the town. Eating establishments. There was a lot of different eating establishments here at the time than there was now. But always, the man who sold me my house, told me who to go to banking. You need to bank at this bank. You need to meet with this person. You need to do this. You need to use this plumber. You need to use all these different things. And so just as soon as we came into town, everybody was so helpful, and everybody knew everybody that was in town, which was different from Abilene, because Abilene was bigger. And so, and just essentially, they just enveloped you and took care of you as soon as we got here, which was neat. It was a neat thing.
And where did people gather then? Like, where were the gathering spots?
The Jake and Dorothy's.
Okay.
Everybody,
tell us about that.
Yeah, everybody went to the Jake and Dorothy. Everybody still goes to the Jake and Dorothy's mostly, but you could go through and everybody would gather at the Jake and Dorothy's. And back then everybody loved to dance, especially the college kids, and everybody loved to dance. And we had the South Fork on Thursday night, and then we had the Dodge House on Wednesday night. And it was just a place where the kids would go, and we would dance the whole time, two-stepping the whole way. And that was a weekly thing that ever happened. On the weekends, a lot of people went home. There wasn't a lot of things that happened on the weekends, but during the week, we had our little spots that we hung out and went and had fun.